quite happy to know that. But they are now going to be able to recall is not the word I was looking for there. Move away from the lane and get the double golems. But I think I want to note right now, look at the difference in the mid lane CS Joe. Not convinced by Kale, but she does such a good job against Xaxus.
And we just saw that blue buff being tanked up for a very long time by Jankos. Actually, we saw Vander throw out his lantern to get in there a little bit quicker because Jankos was starting to fall very, very low. He's just done himself the wolves, and actually he's going to head off here and pick him up that final camp on this bottom side of the map. So again, both blue buffs going over to KMT, and it looks like Airwaks now trying to get in and make a bit of a move on middle, but Overpow just waiting it out there with the dredge line and just dodges it in the end. Brilliant play, but they may lose their red buff here.
Well, if Airwaks goes for the red buff now, he was actually in a choice situation there. He could either choose to take advantage of the fact he knew Evelyn had gone back and go for the red buff, or he could go for that gank. He thought he could make it work, it didn't. That is unfortunate for him, and it means he can't really contest the red buff now, because a straight 2-on-2 with Kale is already incredibly difficult if you're only equal with her. If she is ahead of you, that makes it even scarier, but he is now going to be seeing if he can make anything happen up top.
Yeah, there is the ultimate coming out. Box goes down, but look at Vander. He's taking a lot of damage. Celaver really low from this one as well. Vander is going to go down, but can Celaver actually pick up the kill here onto Gob? He's taking a lot of damage, but he flashes there, using the net as well. They might be able to get both of them from this. No, Celaver goes down to Gob. There is the kill back, and, well, Airwaks, they started to chase him in, and that was nicely played micro-wise coming out of Celaver. Disappointed, though, to lose both of them in the end. But either way, Overpow here is doing a good job as well in this mid lane. He's already taken down that turret extremely low. Should be able to finish it here with this wave.
Yeah, he's going to deny as many CS as he can. He knows Xaxus isn't going to be able to get back into the lane for a while, because at the moment, on this kind of health, if Xaxus stayed in, he would just straight up dive him, use his ult to tank the tower, and he would not care. That would just be easy kill there for him. So he's just going to see if he can get that cast creep to take it out. But dominance in bot lane.
And the tower survives after all that. There is Yuuki here, taking a lot of damage, and Xaxus just running straight in on him for this one. There is a culling coming down. Xaxus decides he's going to back away, takes the lantern as well. What we just see there, that's a 2 versus 1 with everything thrown at them. And Xaxus is monstrous at this point.
That's what Renekton does, and that's one of the things that he does better than Shyvana, even though Shyvana does a very, very similar role and job as him. He can gap close, and that is really crucial in 2v1 situations. When he's ahead like this, or where you would normally expect him to be, it means he can gap close solo and do a bit of damage and then get back out again. Shyvana, if she tries something like that, she has to either go in with her ultimate, or she has to just run at them, in which case, I mean, imagine just trying to run against Thresh right now. She just gets flayed back, she gets hooked, she just takes a ton of poke and can't actually get down in position to use that AoE magic damage she has.
So we see, I thought they were going to have a bit of a dragon attempt there actually, but in the end Jankos moved back away and up towards the wolf camps. Just going to get himself a bit more farm from his side of the jungle. Meanwhile, Overpow, who didn't quite finish off that tower before, 59 HP has left on it. Just one auto attack will take that one down. As I said, no dragon attempt up until now. We finally see a pink ward put down by STO. They want to make sure that they've got some kind of vision on that one, as Airwaks just walks straight into the brush here against Jankos, and with Overpow coming in, he's forced to flash away from it as well. And, well, it seems to me like he's not had this flash up pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, it's not a good situation either, because Nautilus does like to have his flash. It enables you to get in range for the depth charge. Nautilus is basically king of just chaining CC on top of itself, but right now there has been another hook.
Yeah, they've baited Airwaks into this one. The ultimate came onto Celaver, who's going to be pushed out of the fight from this, but he's actually up onto the top side of things. Jankos here taking a lot of damage, but SCO just don't have the damage to reply, and now might be forced to back away, because look at the side. Overpow is headed down towards the Tribush, and they are in a very sticky situation right now. And, well, not as sticky as I maybe thought. As KMT decided, let's not keep chasing. Celaver has kind of gone low. Jankos had already recalled, but the dragon stopped there. That pink ward hasn't been spotted either. They've been avoiding that brush. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Gob is having a good go on Xaxus, who forced to pop his dominus there.
Yeah, not as sticky as you thought indeed, but the situation that arose there, they basically just decided that they'd rather go about taking more towers. I think they're going for that blue buff, which has just popped up and actually now has a very likely confrontation coming up just now.
Yeah, Airwaks actually going to take a lot of damage here from Overpow. He's going to dredge line away, but he won't be able to escape the power that Overpow can put down. And question now is whether Spontexx can get in there and steal that blue buff. Yes, he does. He manages to get that one. Overpow using the ultimate on himself, flashed over the wall. Xaxus now coming down, needs to get this stunning, but doesn't quite get it in time. Spontexx picks up the kill. Well, here comes Jankos from the side. He's going to flash in there, picks himself up another one onto Xaxus, but will he be able to chase down Gob? No, he won't. It's Shyvana after all. And that will leave us at 4-3 in kills in favor of KMT.
A little bit greedy there by Overpow, though. Understandable, given how strong he feels he is right now. But the fact of the matter is, he was not able to get... he couldn't stay there and take the blue buff. It would just keep him there for too long when his own support was a little bit further away. Obviously, it is the enemy's blue buff because they're closer. They can respond to invades much more quickly than his own team there. So, a little bit unfortunate, but in the end... his death only ended up being like a 1-for-1, but he had already picked up Nautilus, and the blue buff does go to Jankos.
The red buff here being contested as well. Kujaa coming around to make sure that that one isn't stolen away, because Airwaks has just not really had much luck in terms of buffs so far this game. And now KMT starting out Dragon. Will they be able to finish it off this time? There is no vision whatsoever there for STO. That pink ward was taken down finally, and that will be the first Dragon of the game at 15 minutes 44 seconds coming in for KMT, who have a 3,000 gold lead. You know, they had a gold lead yesterday in the start to this game. If you weren't tuned in and not familiar with that scenario, we had to break for some server issues, and this game is actually a remake of the last one from yesterday. KMT were ahead there, and they're doing a similar thing here.
Yeah, that is possibly showing that KMT do have the number of STO, because different bans, different picks, different strategy. STO had time to go away, think about what they were going to do in this game, and yet at the moment it does feel like they are falling behind. And honestly, there isn't that much light at the end of the tunnel if they can drag this out. There isn't a huge difference between the two team compositions, but if you have some stuff like Agony's Embrace, if you have big AoE ultimates, and then you can combine that with Kale, with the ability to have either Evelyn or Renekton dive right into the back line invulnerable. That makes for really strong late game team fights. Wow. And they're able to siege towers very quickly indeed.
Wow, that was great positional play from KMT. I mean, they spotted where the entire enemy team was pretty much, and just all gathered up around that middle area, and now they're pushing for an inner turret on the top lane as well, and they are starting to move over here, STO, but I fear it might be a little bit late for them.
Yeah, and they're quite weak at the moment. I mean, look at Airwaks in particular for how squishy he is for a tank character. He is not going to be able to take much damage, and Overpow at the moment with that Nash's Tooth completed is absolutely shredding through anyone. He's a little bit less bursty than a very, very fed mid-mage would normally expect to be. He does have a decent chunk of damage at the start of his combo, and if he just is left to keep auto-attacking, which at the moment he probably will, because he's almost always going to be left alone on the back line, he outputs more damage than almost any other character could do at this stage of the game.
I'm interested to see if we get to... You know, the thing about Kale is the ultimate is a game-changing ultimate as well. We often forget that, and we talk about the fact that Kale, damage, we focus on that, but that ultimate is gonna save your AD carry. You know, in times where he gets jumped on, where his positioning might not have been perfect, and changes the way that an entire fight can go. Right now, actually, STO are looking for a bit of a go on this middle turret, but they just spotted Evelyn up to the side, which I don't think Airwaks was quite ready for, and they decide, you know what? We're just not in a fighting position. We're not strong enough right now. We're going to have to back away. Gob in the top lane, he's been doing a decent job of keeping up in farm with Xaxus, who had a very strong early game in terms of the farm as well. But it's this mid lane, 70 CS the difference. There's 20 CS almost the difference between the AD carries, a 30 CS difference between the junglers. And STO now starting to move down onto Dragon, but they got rid of the pink ward, but their timing's all kinds of off on that one.
Yeah, I suspect they were probably not expecting it to be up. They just wanted to make sure they got the timer on it. But because they're so far off of when it was actually taken, they are not going to be aware of when it's coming up ahead of time, which means they either have to commit a ton of wards around the map or be very aggressive somewhere else and force KMT to respond to them. But if they ever make a slip up in their map rotations, then KMT will just be like, okay, well, we will go for the dragon. We can always just break back off and send one person to do it, because it's very unlikely you can contest it if you don't know when it's coming up.
See there, the gold differences between everyone. Actually, top lane is bang on even. There's like a 4 or 5 gold difference between them. That's pretty funny to see. As Jankos is going to be getting caught out of this one. He's going to try and get away. Actually gets to the lantern, but not in time to actually save his life. Box goes down, and now the rest of KMT starting to close in. Gob going very low from this one as well. There is the ultimate out of Kujaa at the back, and that will save them surely for now. But the flash in from Xaxus is going to get him right into the middle of the team. They pick off Gob. A great play will knock another 2 back, and a hook onto Spontexx as well. Max range. He's not going to be able to escape this one. It's a double kill for Xaxus, and 3 for 1 in the end. Okay, Jankos got caught out, but KMT were able to react to that one so quickly.
Yeah, indeed. Yuuki actually was not anywhere near that fight. No. That's actually happened a couple of times now. He's been caught in situations trying desperately to keep himself up on the damage, up on the farm, and compare himself to Caitlyn. But because he isn't there, they keep losing these fights, they keep losing these objectives, and now they are a long way behind for 20 minutes into the game. Losing an inhibitor is really bad at this stage.
So this is actually really dangerous for Yuuki as well, because Evelyn is chasing down and not going to have vision of him as far as I can really tell. Yuuki there just getting back to the safety of his tower. The blue buff, by the way, was stolen away again by KMT. They showed some amazing cover work on that blue buff. I mean, I think there's only one that's gone over to STO up until now. And that's where Overpow, you know, was like basically 1v2ing up there, or even 1v3ing at some point. Ended up getting kills and losing that blue.
But remember, that actually ended up then getting transferred almost immediately back to Jankos, who ended up stealing it away. So, yeah, they have done some really good work. And it's that clean, clinical stuff that you see from the good teams. They constantly keep track of everything, because it's so easy to let a small piece of information like that slip through, because you're concentrating on your dragon timing. You think, okay, we've got to be in position for that, we've got to be making tower pushes, but just making sure the enemy never gets a blue buff, that's important too. And KMT taking advantage of their timing that they have and their opponents do not, be getting a free dragon.
Yep, dragon is gone, and that will be another big boost for them. And if you look at the gold, it's really starting to become a problem. There's only one outer turret left in the game, and that is on less than half HP right now. I say in the game, I mean obviously from STO's side of things, there's still the top and middle outer turrets left for KMT's side of things, and they've started to get wards down now on the enemy jungle, especially around this red side of things. Vander doing a good job on that front. Oh, he might be... needs to be careful here, though. He might just get himself caught out. Going to throw down the box. There's the ultimate coming out of Overpow, but I think they're going to lose Vander. Xaxus starts to come in, and there is the kill for Nautilus. The culling comes out. KMT start to back away from this one, but actually STO, they want to chase it, and I'm not sure it's the best way. He has Jankos going to come in from the side. Is he going to be able to burst him down? Xaxus is doing a lot of damage. Yuuki gets slowed. He gets finished off there by Jankos, and they might all just go down from this one. Spontexx is going to be flashed onto by Jankos. One more hate spike will finish him, and that's a 3 for 1 with the support dying. And this is what I talked about. Vander was he was in the middle of nowhere, putting wards down there. I thought, okay, he's getting caught out. Overpow's ulti kept him alive for long enough for the rest of the team to actually start to move on to him.
KO Ultimate is incredibly powerful in all situations, but especially that kind there. When you've got so much focus on one person, the value of KO Ultimate goes up, because you're wasting all of their damage as opposed to however much they're focusing on that individual. But in that situation as well, STO they were so desperate to make something happen because they're trying to bring themselves back in, but they couldn't afford to do it. If they hadn't gone for it, though, the slow grind most likely would have continued, and KMT thinking about a bait there, but yeah, sort of standing in minion range. A bit difficult to hide when there's that many there.
One thing they've done well here, though, is that Celaver, not involved in that last encounter, has actually... this mouse. Got numbers buttons on the side, which always takes me away, which is fine in some times, but not in that one. Celaver here pushed that wave out and will actually take that inventory. But look at STO, they actually want to go for a fight here. They push them all the way back, and Overpow going low, takes the Lantern to get back. Xaxus manages to survive as well, but not going to be the same fate for Jankos. Is Celaver going to try and come in and mop some stuff up here? He's not. He's gone over wards as well. They might be able to close him down. Celaver knows that he's in trouble. Spots another pink ward, but this time he's not being chased. Would have been able to take that pink down, but it's going to be about defending the inner turret in this mid lane because STO is sticking around to push it.
Yeah, they knew they needed to catch on to something there, but STO, although they're taking a small advantage there, and although during that whole engagement in the bottom lane from before, Shyvana dueling Caitlyn was actually taking the top tower, it's not really enough to make up for the fact they are now down, okay, not down 2 inhibs, but very likely to lose a second inhib very, very soon, and have lost 2 inhibs overall at the moment. That means they're just too far behind on map pressure now to potentially contest this Baron. KMT, I don't know if I've said these words before, they have a very fast Baron clear.
Yes, you have said those words before. We'll see if they go for that here once again. And one thing that I, again, just looking at Xaxus, in those fights took so much damage, some 5k Randuins, and if you look at where the damage comes from on the other team, then armor is pretty strong for them at this point.
Yeah, that is one of the unfortunate facts about building your team around, well, an AD mid lane. They do have decent magic damage coming out of Shyvana, but that's pretty much it. Shyvana and Leona. Nautilus also does do a bit, so they've got some. If they were ahead, if they were doing okay early game, it wouldn't be such a problem for them. But because there is so much armor, and because that is the majority of their damage, that is now really taking a significant chunk out of their potential to catch people out and to chase them down if they even manage to get the drop on someone.
Yeah, and a couple of last whispers in there, all well and good, but they only, again, chunked through so much of that armor. And if we look at Xaxus at this point, he is absolutely stacked with it. 206 armor, almost 3,000 health as well.
Yeah, he's getting to peak Bruiser Renekton at this point. He is very, very difficult to kill, and he outputs so much damage that STU cannot ignore him at all. That puts them in a very, very awkward position. They have to run away from him, but if they're doing that, they're not hitting him. If they're doing that, most likely the backline is left completely fine as well. They will continue to attack and attack and attack. You just get bled down very quickly in teamfights if that happens. Now, I would say there are still kind of some crumbs of comfort here for STO. They do have Shyvana, who can outscale Renekton, but just because there's been so much I hesitate to call it global gold anymore because it's been going dragons and things that Xaxus has been there for. But because he's significantly far ahead right now, he is strong enough to fight Shyvana one-on-one. And even if he wasn't, the map pressure situation means Shyvana can't split push safely.
Yeah, and we see that he stood right at the front of them, not scared to be tanking up any damage. And Overpow on his way here with a needlessly large rod as well. So we talked about earlier on the build that he went for obviously gives you that more sustained damage, Kale, rather than the flat out, oh my god, you just burst me from 100 to 0. But he's also going to get to that point as well once, you know, Death Cap comes in, for example.
Kale scales crazily. She is a really, really strong hyper carry, honestly, if she gets to a full build, especially if you consider the fact that her ultimate is so amazing. She can use it as self-peel, she can use it for other people. It just means there is another almost unignorable threat, but that one can turn invulnerable. Oh,
they managed to hook in Spontexx here as well. He tries to jump away, that won't work out. Box goes down, and honestly, this is going to be a whitewash. Jankos takes a lot of damage, but there is the Kale ultimate coming out. Yuuki trying to get away, but finished over by the Piltover Peacemaker. A triple kill comes down. And honestly, KMT can win the game right here. They've only got 3 minions to do it with, but we see that Yuuki leaving the game already. Xaxus is definitely tanking up to tank up that Nexus turret. and KMT gonna bounce back here and win their second game of the promotion tournament group stage, and in convincing fashion as well.
Yeah, and they beat them twice to do it, so
True,
they clearly deserve that. Really, really, really strong play. I feel like STO were a little bit too keen to get Spontexx champions that he was comfortable on, and indeed Airwaks much the same, because Nautilus really didn't work out for them. They weren't able to respond to that invade appropriately, and he fell a long way behind on that. Spontexx was falling behind, and normally one or the other can support the other one and help them get back in, but when you've got two major facets of your team collapsing at once, it suddenly becomes really, really difficult to deal with.
Well, a very strong performance by KMT, and honestly, they're looking like the team that's going to challenge here for these spots. You know, I'm going to bring this up again. They're obviously not updated just yet, but I can obviously give you the overview on that one. So the Wolves 9 points, Super Hot Crew 6, TCM 6, KMT 3, and both STO and Caronte now are 0 for 3, which means that they're out. I mean, I think it's technically not impossible for them to come back if they win their next 2 games, and TCM and Super Hot Crew and KMT don't win any more games. Like, because I'm not a mathematical genius and don't have all the outcomes planned in my head, I can't exactly tell you now. But if you're 0-3 and you've got teams in there that 3 for 0, 2 for 0, 2 for 1. You're not getting through, I'm afraid. It looks like it's time game over for STO and Caronte. Our next game coming up, I'm going to see if this is actually correct anymore. I don't think it is, because STO versus KMT was our penultimate game from yesterday. Super Hot Crew versus TCM was supposed to be our last game yesterday, so I'm assuming that that is going to be our next game coming up here. Let me just quickly have a look. Trying to find it. There we go. TCM versus SHC. Yes, so that will be our game. Super Hot Crew versus TCM. That'll be coming up here in just a few minutes once we get ourselves ready and in the game. So we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with our next matchup.